I couldn't see, I couldn't speak, I couldn't move. And all I remember is waking up out the back of ER with all these things on my body, with my parents there and going, "What the hell? What are you guys doing here?" Welcome back to the podcast. If you listened to this before, it's been 5+ years since episode 242 with Tim Morrison. And this is the first time stepping back into podcasting. I've just done my first guests and I realized, wow, if I'm kicking this off again, and I'm kicking it off in a new place, a new path, with the podcast now called Lead Yourself First, where I'm interviewing people who lead themselves first and show up as the best possible version of themselves for the people that they love and lead, and learning the lessons from them along the way, from their stories, the ups and downs of life, especially business too. Then it makes sense to share what's happened over the last 5 years. Now, the reason I stopped doing this podcast is because I put myself in a position with this podcast, with Open Up, where I was interviewing people about mental health, about the lows in life and how they come through the other side, come out the other side, and the lessons they learned along the way as well. And I got to a point where I was tossing up between speaking and podcasting. And with the business, I finally got to a point where speaking was taking me on mine sites across WA a hell of a lot. And I felt like, oh man, if I'm away from my family this much, I don't really want to spend time filming these podcasts, then editing them, then chopping up all the shorts, all the reels, and doing those as well. It just felt like too much time for me back then. And I found a new path. I found that path with speaking, becoming the FIFO mental health guy, and then starting the FIFO mental health group. And that business went really well. It went amazing. Like, we finally hit a point where we were making about 50 grand a month. I was working 2 days a week. We had a couple different speakers who were awesome at their roles, working with some of the biggest companies in Australia and some of the biggest leaders in Australia, which, I was super proud of. But I didn't realize when I was letting go of the podcast that I was also letting go of myself. I was no longer focused on my health, on my fitness, on exercise. I was focused on business. I saw a path and an opportunity with FIFO Mental Health Guy, FIFO Mental Health Group, where I was like, oh man, if I go down that path, then I can work with these companies, I can make more money. And that's what's going to make me happy. Because although I was really proud of what I was doing with the podcast, I was super excited with the people that I got to meet with, interview, and learn from. It didn't feel like it was filling this gap for me. I still wondered why, why am I still not happy? And so I went down that path, did really well financially, but I ended up putting on a lot of weight. I put on maybe 45 kilos of fat, lost all of my muscle because I wasn't working out anymore, wasn't exercising, wasn't keeping myself fit. And so when you already don't understand why you're not happy and you're still looking for things outside of yourself to make you happy, and I'm talking about myself, then the fatter I got, the heavier I got, the more unfit I got, the more I was unhappy with how I looked, how I felt. And so there was such a massive lack of pride. And because I didn't have that pride, I kept searching for more and more with the business. Like, I need more. When I get more, when I make more money, when I get more opportunities with these different companies and they pay more, even if my speakers get more, I'm going to make enough money to, pay this house off, to buy these cars. And when I do that, that's when I'm going to feel like enough. That's when I'm going to feel worthy of the love that I want. Not realizing that I already had the love from my partner, from Katie, from my daughters, Angel and Sage, from my parents, from the people that I, love and care about. I already had the love. It's just I didn't love myself. And so throughout that time, when I let go of the podcast, Angel is 11 next week. She's 11 next week. But I found out when she was 6 years old. So it's literally after I let this podcast go, I found out that she wasn't my daughter. Found out that she wasn't mine. And I really struggled. I think I'd probably put on about 20 kgs of fat at that point. And because of that, I thought because I was the FIFO mental health guy, because I was talking to people about mental health, how to take yourself from stress to success, I thought, oh no, I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing my daily reset every morning. It means I'm okay. Not realizing that I used food, alcohol, porn to mask how I felt, that I felt unhappy, that I didn't know who I had to be her dad. Hi, Simba. I didn't know who I had to be her dad because she wasn't allowed to call me dad for a decent chunk of that period. And so I felt really broken and didn't understand that I was. And so, the podcast at that time probably would have helped me move through that patch of life, move through that low. But instead, I focused on business, making more money, and then using food, alcohol, porn to mask how I felt. And so I put on more weight. Eventually got to a point where I was, 45 kgs of fat overweight. Put so much on. Really disliked how I looked, was really ashamed of myself, really embarrassed about being me. And I remember doing these talks on different mind sites where I was so big with my shirt. They were like double XL shirts where the button popped off. And I was like, oh my God, that is so embarrassing. What the heck? I'm this mental health guy who's so overweight, who doesn't like himself. Like, what the heck, man? And so when we hit a point, we were doing 50 grand a month. I started getting marketing coaches, stuff like that, paying money to expand the business because I thought more would help me feel better. Then I finally got to a point where I started losing my vision, my speech, and then went to hospital a few times. Hi, baby. Hello, beautiful. Can I give you a smooch? Could I give you a smooch? Hello. Hi. How are you? Sage just got home from school, walked in. But I put on that weight. I was focused on money, masking how I felt about myself. And I remember being on site, having these moments. I think it was Argyle Diamond Mine here in WA. And I remember being on site doing my talk, the room full of a couple hundred people, and the talk's going really well. Like I was really proud of myself and the way that I was speaking, the way that I could connect with people, and the way that I could deliver what it is that I was trying to share and teach. And in those sessions at Argyle, I remember these moments where I lost my vision and my heart just ramped up and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have a panic attack. And while I was talking, I had to put my arm on the table on the lectern. I had to close my eyes and then just stand still and try and like focus on my breathing while I was still talking about what I was talking about, and just hope that because I'd connected back to my body, got in control of my breathing, that things would calm down. And they did. Like my vision come back. I thought, oh my God, don't know what the hell happened there. I must need some water or something. And so I just didn't really think anything of it. And it wasn't until I got home and my head was just so sore that I ended up going to the hospital, got turned away, went back again, got turned away, and then went back and they finally did a scan. And, she told me, oh, good news, it's not because of the chiropractor that you're here, that you're sick. And I was like, oh, awesome, cool, I'm going home. And then she said, oh, but you've got clots in your brain, in your throat, in your arm. Like, what the heck? And so I went, spent a couple of weeks in hospital, and then got discharged. And then got to a point where, I thought, cool, I've been discharged. It means it's okay. I'm going to get back to work straight away. but it didn't change. My brain got worse. I couldn't eat. I couldn't really drink and do anything. Couldn't move. I just lay on the couch. And finally got to a point where I went to the hospital. Uh, we were waiting in the ER, and I don't really remember any of it. I don't remember anything for the next, I'd say maybe month, 2 months maybe. Being in the ER, waiting, getting told to go home. And luckily, Katie just fought and pushed back, because if she didn't, we probably would have gone home and I probably would have died. And, I remember her talking. Well, I don't remember. It's just Katie telling me what she remembers. The doctor coming out, telling me I was okay. It's just the painkillers that they've given me that's made me lose my vision, that's made me lose whatever. And then when the doctor was talking to her, Katie pushed back and they asked me questions, and then my words were just stumbling. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't see, I couldn't speak, and I couldn't move. And all I remember is waking up in the bed out the back of ER with all these things on my body, with my parents there and going, "What the hell? Like, oh, what are you guys doing here?" And then waking up again in the ambulance, and then waking up again, I don't know when, at Charles Gardner Hospital. And so we went through some ups and downs there. I've had multiple strokes, brain bleeds, and a period where Katie was told that she had to come to the hospital because, I was bleeding so much, and there had to be a decision made. We either uh, put him in surgery for the brain and risk him going, or we leave him how he is and still risk him going. And so, luckily enough, come through the other side. Very grateful for that, and very grateful for all the support that I had. But man, those periods, those times when I was in hospital, even yesterday, it was Dad's birthday yesterday. We went to brekkie, we went to golf, and he was just telling me in the car how Katie, who I've been with for 10, 11, 12 years, she'd come into the hospital, and he told me that I would say, "Who's that white woman?" Who's that white woman? And yeah, it was, "Who's Katie?" Because I didn't know that she was my partner at the time. Which, you think about that losing memory, waking up, and then I think I remember, not I remember, I got told I threw the iPad at her while she was there because I thought she wasn't my partner. It's like, man, the courage and the strength and the resilience for a woman to move through that with everything that was going on. I'm just so grateful for the people that I have in my life, the people that showed up even when I didn't know what the hell was happening. And I was so angry. I thought people were keeping me there, keeping me locked in the hospital, and I just wanted to go. I just thought I was better, I was okay. Didn't realize I couldn't actually move properly. I didn't have my memory, didn't have like a really good vision or speech. I'd still stumble over words. And so it took me about 3 months of rehab to learn how to speak again, start getting memory back, walk and movement, and use the gym at home. And that actually made me realize while I was doing rehab, while I was at home, that, oh my God, I might not ever get back to speaking, get back to coaching people, get back to doing the thing that I love, where all of my ego was based. It's like, who the hell am I without that? And so I had to let that go. And that was hard. It's like, who am I without it? I'm no one. Like, my belief was I'm useless. I'm a piece of shit. I'm a shit father. I'm a shit partner. I'm a shit son. Like, without this, I am nothing. Oh, even just thinking about it now hits my heart. It's like, dude, I just want to go back and give myself a hug. And so, one of the most beautiful things about letting go of that was doing my reset every morning and focusing on that. And what come from that was I learned so much more about myself and accepted myself to the point where I had this reset in the morning up in the shed, And I wrote down, because I always write down, like, what are my physical sensations in the body, tension, or is it tight in my hamstring, my neck, my jaw? And I breathe and feel that and let those go, and they just move. Where attention goes, energy flows, and I did that, and then I asked myself, what is the emotion? Not the one that you want to believe it is, but what is the one that comes up first? And I think for me, then it was sadness. So I cried, went through that. And then I asked myself again, and it was peace. I was like, oh, this feels beautiful. And then I asked myself again, it's like, oh, shit, I feel love. It's like, oh, where did the love come from? What is this? Who do I love? And I was thinking about other people. It's like, do I love Dad? Do I love Katie? Do I love my girls? No, I love myself. And that's probably the first time I've ever felt that in my life. And breathed, felt that, and cried again. And so I just continued this process every single day. And the more I did this, the more I learnt or understood myself, why I feel, think, and do what I do, the patterns that I use to protect myself, how I built an identity that was supposed to keep me safe. And then, because I did that, because I understood myself, it made it easier to accept myself. When I accepted myself, it became easier to love myself, not love everything about me, just like love different chunks of me. And the more I did this, the more I felt called to come back to coaching, because I let go of coaching because I was making so much money from speaking, and I was focused more on making more money and speaking and getting more work for my speakers, that I thought, no, I'll let speaking go, and I would give that work to people who worked for me or people who I knew, who I trusted. And so going through this, that's when I made that decision, like, oh shit, it's time to get back to coaching. And it's taken me probably a year since then that I realized, man, I really want to get back to podcasting. I've posted about it a lot, told people that I'm going to do it, but it's taken literally a year for me to find the confidence to get back to it. And it wasn't until I did my first episode last week with Sam Whitwell from Powered Man, who's starting his own business now, that I realized, holy shit, I love this. I love asking questions, like writing the answers and then asking questions based off of what they've said, what I've pulled from it, and gone, what does that mean? So, the coolest thing about it is that Lead Yourself First, and this podcast that I'm doing, unintentionally is aligned with my coaching, unintentionally is aligned with the keynotes that I'm doing now, because the keynotes are called Lead Yourself First. Lead Yourself First for leaders, Lead Yourself First for teams. And so I'm very grateful for everyone who used to listen to Open Up, and anyone who steps into this to listen to these podcasts, these episodes coming up with people that I really admire and that I'm so excited to spend time with, ask questions, learn the lessons of life from. So I think that's enough. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm sure I'll just share little snippets, little parts of what has happened in life, what I've been through, the lows, and what I've learnt, the lessons that have taken me to the opposing highs, and what peace feels like now in this position. Take care.